Hello and welcome. So, maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't, but my last video was a wish list of things that I want for Monster Hunter Wilds. Now, one of the things I put in there I knew would be contentious was I would like for Monster Hunter Wilds to not offer full access to your storage, so all the items you have collected or crafted from your camp while on a hunt. So what that means for most people would be you don't have access to unlimited healing resources during a hunt. Now, my case was that I feel the game is better and more fun when you have the pressure of limited healing resources. The first thing to consider is, why do I want this in the first place, right? What is the ultimate goal of getting rid of camp resupplies? So the ultimate goal is I want developers to have more control over quest difficulty. So what I mean is, when you go into a quest, right, a hunt, you have unlimited healing, right? It's basically just, that's it. You have unlimited healing, and they can't change that. The only way they can change that is, say, for example, in Monster Hunter Wilds, fights that don't allow you to Farcaster. Elytrion, for example, you can't Farcaster. So you have no way to get back to camp to resupply until you die. So if you die, you can get 20 health potions, then 20 potions, then 20 honey, and then you have 40 mega potions for the fight, plus your ancient potions. See what I mean? It's almost a full reset each time you die. So I want developers to be able to tweak that number a little bit. I think having an extra dial makes for, a better game. So what is the current mechanic? The current mechanic in Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise, the two most recent games, is you can access all your stored items from camp. You can change your equipment. I think that's fine. You can't set decorations. Maybe you can in Rise. I don't remember. But I've been playing World recently. And my previous proposal was no access to your main storage from camp, which is how the games were before Monster Hunter World. Now, that doesn't mean that's how it should be, right? I'm just saying that's when the change happened. I'm not asking for something that never existed. Because I know some people might be watching this and saw my other video, disagree with me, and think I'm asking for something that, is completely out of left field. So here's some of the counter arguments that people brought up in the comments. So lower accessibility for new players, access to non-healing consumables such as traps and hot and cold drinks is useful to have. And then the argument of, if you don't like it, just don't use it. So my response to those would be, for accessibility on new players, to be honest, you might be right. My thoughts, going into this is, I played the older games, right? I played when that was something that restricted me as a new player. And that didn't put me off of the game. I enjoyed the game. And even when I was new, I enjoyed the pressure of, I'm not good enough at this monster to kill it with just 20 mega potions. So I need to get better at it so that I can kill it with just 20 mega potions, right? And when that was gone, I didn't enjoy it as much. But just because it wasn't bad for me doesn't mean that the access to unlimited didn't make it more accessible for people who otherwise would have not enjoyed it. So I think it's a fair point. And I will get into why that doesn't sway me in a minute. Access to non-healing consumables such as traps, hot, cold drinks. I guess this is a response that I saw, but it's kind of a straw man at this point with hot and cold drinks because they're not in the game anymore. Hot and cold drinks were removed in Rise, and you don't need them no more. It probably won't be coming back. I don't see a need for them. The non-healing consumables like traps, I'm kind of on the fence with that point because it's very annoying when you go on a capture quest, put down the trap, the monster leaves, doesn't go in the trap. And now you have no more traps, you can't complete the quest. That sucks. But you get a free trap in the supply box on capture quests, and you should at least bring one of your own. If you didn't bring one, then you got one in the supply box and you get one chance, right? Put it on yourself for that. So, yeah, it is nice, right, to be able to just retry, but, yeah, is what it is. And then let's get into more specific responses to these. So, my first note here is the supply box exists for this reason. So, ever since they made the change of you can get whatever you want at any time from your camp that you own, the supply box, fucking useless, right? If you just started in World, you probably think supply box not that good. Yeah, some free stuff, that's cool, right? But that's all it is. Well, previously, when you didn't have access to everything you owned, the supply box was the extra inventory of stuff. That is how the developers are able to tweak the difficulty of a quest through healing items. So you bring 20 plus 20 potions plus 20 honey, and you bring 40 mega potions with you. And then, if you still need more, they're in the supply box. Just go and grab them. And for new players, right? If you think that they need more healing to make the game more accessible to them in lower hunts, that's fine. I don't think that the additional healing should be supplied through your player storage. I think it should be through the supply box, because that makes the responsibility on the developers to say, hey, this should be a really easy quest, and we find with our data, right, because they'll be able to support this decision with data, unlike us, we don't have that data, that more healing in early quests has more player retention. And you say, okay, well, we don't want it to be super easy because that puts people off. And we don't want it to be super hard because that also puts people off. So this is a good number of healing items we think that they should be able to have access to. And they're in the supply box. There you go. That's what the supply box is for. It shouldn't be unlimited access to your cart. And the supply box is actually arguably better than the unlimited supply. Because let's be honest, if you're failing a hunt and you're chugging your potions, you're not drinking 60 potions, right? There's enough space in the supply box to get the amount that you would reasonably need if you're playing the game at least somewhat competently, even as a new player, right? But the supply box doesn't require that new player to have previously prepared 40 extra mega potions, or any. Maybe they came with no potions, and they just get them from the supply box. There you go, right? It's arguably better as a solution to wanting more healing in a hunt. And it can also offer more traps, right? Right now, usually you just get one trap and some trank pods for all your capture quests, right? But if you think, hey, I put one down and I miss it, I didn't craft one, I don't think I should have to remember every time to have to bring a trap. I didn't notice it was a capture quest. Okay, maybe the developer should be putting 2 traps in the supply box for you, right? A supply box was the solution to the problem. When they made the change to unlimited supply in the camp, they basically gave up with the supply box and said, okay, supply box is just free stuff, bring all you want, fuck it. We can't tweak quests. we can't fine-tune them as much, but it is what it is. However, in Wilds, I want them to use the supply box to solve that issue. Early quests, the supply box is super generous. Late quests, hey, you get what you bring and that's it. I think that would make a better game. And that's all I want, right? I'm just arguing for a game that I think would be better for everyone, not just for me. That's why I want to take your feedback into consideration. And so, as far as accessibility goes, that's what the supply box is for. And even for your non-healing consumables, that's what the supply box is for. I will bring up one extra point, though. I know in Wilds, I utilized the infinite supply box, right? Because it made things possible that you wouldn't do otherwise, such as sticky bomb meta. I used the Safi Jiva longbow or light bow gun for a long time using sticky bombs, and you can only have so many sticky bombs. It's not a lot, and then you craft more, and you use those, and then when you're out, you just go to camp, get more supplies, and there you go. You got another however many sticky bombs that you can shoot and then craft and then shoot. So that allowed a new method of gameplay. Now, what I would say to that is that if the developers want that to be a mode of gameplay, right? It was emergent in world because of the infinite supply. But if they wanted that to be a mode of gameplay, they should just increase the number you can have in your inventory when you bring it on a quest. It's that simple. So if they remove the infinite resupply, but they want to allow you to do things like sticky ammo builds, then just increase the amount of sticky ammo we can have. That's about it. That problem's solved. And I would say expeditions are the only other thing I can think of that kind of complicates the issue further. So on an expedition, right, it's not necessarily a single quest, so you shouldn't really be expected to be limited based on a single quest thing. And the supply box doesn't really expand as much for expeditions as you might want it to, especially if you're in like a 4-player multiplayer and you go in the grinding land for hours and you have no resupply. And I like being able to go into the grinding lands and not leave till I'm done. So being limited by the supply box or your inventory isn't great. So, and honestly, this may be the whole reason why they added infinite resupply anyway. They're like, hey, we have this new thing, expeditions. It's really cool. But not being able to resupply while out and about kind of makes it not viable. And so they said, okay, well, we'll just turn on resupply everywhere. Right? It's probably easier to code that way, too. So what I would think, or what I would hope, is that they say, okay, well, now that we've done a proof of concept, we've had more time to adjust the code, whatever. In expeditions, you have a special case where, yeah, you can resupply at camp. You know, maybe there's a more elegant solution. I haven't explored it a lot. But that's honestly the main thing that keeps me saying, okay, yeah, I can see why infinite resupply is still good for the game, because it enables the end-game grind of grinding lands, expeditions, etc. But I think it can be solved through another means that makes an overall better game through expeditions have its own thing, but quests are the traditional, you know, you get what you bring and you get what's in the supply box. And people that say just don't use it, I mean, that's just the thing people say about everything, right? You don't like it, don't play it. Don't like the mechanic, don't do it. Don't like it, whatever, right? You're not allowed to you're not allowed to offer criticism. I mean, all I have to say is that is, you know, good game design is based on deliberate choices, right? A good game isn't toss it out there, let players decide what's good and bad, and then they can just, you know, choose to do the things that are good and avoid the things that are bad. That's not good game design. Could it work? Yes. It's not good design, right? So it's not really a great argument against anything, let alone the supplies. So ultimately, I think we can summarize this as I still believe there should be no infinite resupply. However, I do think that with going back to that mode of gameplay, the developers should then utilize their ability to have a new knob of fine-tuning hunts and difficulty to make early quests, very easy through the supply box, where you're not going to hurt for supplies even if you didn't bring any on your own. It's all there for you. And then as you progress through the game, the supply box gets more and more limited, and you have already learned, okay, this is the kind of stuff I need to bring, right? It's not going to be offered for me anymore. And then eventually you're going to be, okay, I get 40 mega potions, that's it. If I can't do this hunt within that, then I just need to get better. And that's fine, because at that point, you're already good at the game, and it's fine if you have to do a quest twice, or 3 times, or 4 times before you clear it, because you're improving. I know some people don't like to improve or challenge themselves. Not everyone is entitled to beat everything, right? If they have content, if the developers decide they want this hunt to be very restrictive and difficult, that's their choice, and they made it for players that want to have that difficulty. And they remove partially the option to have those kinds of varied hunts by not relying on the supply box and rather relying on infinite resupplies. Sorry if I went back and forth at all, or if I rambled too much, but that's my thoughts on this whole deal. Please continue providing your feedback. I probably won't be doing any more response videos for this specific topic, but I like to talk about the game. So if you have any other things that you guys can think of outside of resupply that you would like to hear me talk about, let me know. And let me know what you thought about this one. Did you get your mind changed at all from the previous video? Are you still in your ways? And I'm not saying you're wrong if you think I'm wrong, right? It's a discussion. And here's my point. So, like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.